Proof of work. This is the original one that Bitcoin has been using since day one in 2009. Here's how it works. Miners take all the new transactions, they pack them into a candidate block, and then they start guessing random numbers super fast until the hash of the whole block starts with a bunch of zeros, basically solving a really hard math puzzle. The first miner who finds the right number shouts to everyone else, "I got it!" Everyone checks that the math is correct, which is super easy to verify, and then that block gets added to the chain forever. The reward is new Bitcoin plus the fees. It's extremely secure because to rewrite history, you'd have to redo all that work faster than the honest miners, which for Bitcoin would cost billions of dollars in electricity right now. The downside is it's slow. Bitcoin does about 7 transactions per second. Blocks take 10 minutes, and it uses as much power as a medium-sized country. Proof of stake. This is the green replacement that Ethereum switched to in 2022, and basically everyone else uses now. Instead of burning electricity, you lock up your coins as stake. The network looks at how much everyone has staked and randomly picks someone to propose the next block, kind of like a weighted lottery. Once someone proposes it, other validators quickly vote yes or no. If you propose garbage or try to attack the network, the protocol automatically burns part or all of your stake. That's called slashing. It uses 99.9% less energy than proof of work. Blocks come every 12 to 15 seconds on Ethereum, and it scales a lot better. Nominated proof of stake. This one is basically proof of stake, but with a smarter voting system, so power doesn't just pile up with the richest guys. Here's how it works. Anyone who stakes coins becomes a nominator and gets to pick up to 16 or sometimes more validators that they trust. The network then looks at all the nominations and automatically spreads the stake around so no single validator ends up with too much weight. It's like democratic proof of stake. Your vote helps decide who gets to make blocks, and the system keeps everything balanced. Polkadot is the biggest and most famous chain that runs this exact way. And because it's built into their substrate toolkit, a bunch of other chains like Kusama, Akala, and Centrifuge use the exact same nomination system too. Avalanche consensus. This one works completely differently from everything else. It's basically super fast gossip with math. When a new transaction comes in, every validator doesn't wait for a leader or a round. They just randomly pick a small handful of other validators, like 10 or 20, and ask, "Hey, do you accept this transaction or not?" Those validators ask 10 more, and it snowballs for a few quick rounds. Each time someone says yes, the confidence goes up. After usually less than 2 seconds, if around 80% of the random samples keep saying yes, the whole network treats that transaction as final forever. No takebacks. There's no block time, no waiting for leaders, just pure probabilistic finality. Avalanche the blockchain, the one with AVAX, invented this and is still the biggest and pretty much only major chain running it in production in 2025. A couple of smaller projects copied it, but when people say Avalanche consensus, they mean the AVAX network and its subnets. Tendermint/Comet BFT. This is a classic Byzantine fault-tolerant consensus that a huge number of chains copied. Validators are known ahead of time. They take turns proposing a block, then everyone does 2 quick voting rounds. First, they pre-vote, then they actually vote. As long as more than 2/3 of the validators agree in both rounds, the block is committed. If anyone tries to vote for 2 different blocks at the same height, the cryptographic proof gets broadcast, and that validator loses their whole stake instantly. It gives you super predictable block times, usually 3 to 6 seconds, and it's perfect when you want many independent chains to talk to each other safely. Cosmos started it, Binance Smart Chain runs it, and now over 100 chains use the exact same engine. They just renamed it Comet BFT in 2024. Ouroboros. This is a family of academically designed proof-of-stake protocols, where time is chopped into epochs and slots. In every slot, the network does a little lottery, based on stake, to pick one leader who gets to make the block. If the chosen leader is offline or lazy, the slot just stays empty, and we move on. No drama. Everything is backed by heavy math proofs that it stays secure even if some people act shady. Cardano is the big famous chain that runs Ouroboros. They're now on the Preos and Genesis versions in 2025. And a few tiny research chains copied it, but when people say Ouroboros, everyone instantly thinks Cardano. Proof of history. This is a completely different approach that fixes the biggest headache in fast blockchains. How do you prove when something happened without wasting time asking everyone? The trick is, every computer on the network runs its own cryptographic clock. It just keeps hashing the previous hash over and over again, millions of times per second, creating a giant chain of numbers where each one proves the exact time that passed since the last one. It's like a verifiable timestamp built right into the data itself. Once you have that clock, you don't need to argue about ordering anymore. You just look at the hashes and you instantly know what came before what. Solana is the chain that made this famous, and still the only big one actually running it in production. They combine that clock with a tiny bit of proof of stake for the final security, and that's exactly why they can push thousands of transactions per second in real life, instead of just on paper. Liquid proof of stake. A very user-friendly twist on proof of stake, where you never have to lock your coins or run a node yourself. You can either bake blocks on your own if you want, or you just delegate your staking power to someone else and still earn full rewards, minus a small fee. The absolute coolest part is the chain upgrades itself. Holders vote on protocol changes, and the code literally rewrites itself on-chain with no hard fork. Tezos is the chain that invented and still runs liquid proof of stake. It's basically the only major one doing it this way in 2025. Threshold relay plus chain key. This one is genuinely weird and unique. The network uses random cryptographic beacons to constantly shuffle committees of nodes. And then there's this thing called chain key cryptography, where the entire history of the chain, no matter how many billions of blocks, can be verified with just one single public key. It's built for web speed and theoretically infinite horizontal scaling. Internet Computer, ICP, is the only big chain actually running this whole system in production right now. Nobody else has copied it yet because it's insanely complex. Proof of authority. This is the trusted grown-ups version that tons of enterprise and sidechain projects use when they don't need full decentralization. Here's how it works. A small, pre-approved list of real-world entities, usually companies or known organizations, put their legal identity on the line, run the validator nodes, and take turns signing blocks with their private keys. No mining, no staking, just a round-robin schedule. As soon as enough authorized signers, typically 51 to 67%, have signed, the block is instantly final. Misbehave or go offline, and everyone instantly knows exactly which company is responsible, so reputation and legal consequences replace slashing or puzzles. It's lightning fast, virtually free, and uses almost no energy. Thousands of TPS and sub-second finality. The trade-off is brutal and obvious. It's centralized garbage by crypto-native standards. You have to trust the approved list not to collude, censor, or get leaned on by regulators. Change the list or freeze an address, and there's no 51% attack needed. One phone call can do it. Basically, every corporate supply chain, CBDC pilot, or tokenized real-world asset platform that wants blockchain flavor without giving up control. In short, POA is what you pick when you want the speed and cost of a blockchain, but still want a kill switch and a list of people you can sue. Delegated proof of stake. You vote for a tiny club of block producers, usually 21 to 101 people or companies. Those elected guys take turns making blocks in a perfect round robin, super fast, like 3-second or even sub-second blocks. No randomness, no lottery, just a schedule. The original EOS in 2018 invented it. Tron copied it and became a top 5 chain by TVL, total value locked, and a bunch of gaming/NFT chains like Wax and Telos still run it. Downside? People call it crypto oligarchy because the same big players tend to stay elected forever. HotStuff family. This is the new hotness for super high TPS chains. It's still BFT, but instead of 3-phase voting like Tendermint, it does chained HotStuff, or even newer variants like Jolteon, Bullshark, and Mysticeti. Think of it as Tendermint on steroids. You get linear communication cost, way less chatty, so block times drop to 300 to 800 milliseconds, and real throughput hits 100,000 to 300,000 transactions per second on testnets, and still 10,000 to 50,000 in production. Aptos, Sui, and Sei are the 3 biggest chains running different flavors in 2025. They're basically the Cosmos killers everyone is using for DeFi and consumer apps now. Kaspa BlockDAG plus GhostDAG. Bitcoin, but instead of 1 block every 10 minutes, Kaspa allows many blocks per second and keeps them all if they don't conflict. It's a DAG, or directed acyclic graph, not a linear chain. GhostDAG is the rule that picks the heaviest part of the DAG, so everyone agrees on ordering. Result? 10 blocks per second in production, confirmed in under 10 seconds, still fully decentralized proof of work, no pre-mine, fair launch, and is the only pure proof of work chain that actually feels fast.